Good afternoon, and welcome back to another episode of Healing Our Community with Dr. Ray and Jean. Hi, I am Dr. Ray.
And I'm Jean.
And our podcast, Healing Our Community, was designed to have real talk about mental health and bringing it to you here at the Western Slope, and to talk about some real topics.
Yeah.
You know, one thing I kind of have to apologize for is, as I'm saying that, we're looking to bring real talk about mental health, our last few podcast episodes have been really clinical, and so we wanted to kind of dial that back and talk a little bit more, just kind of on that real level about mental health and what people struggle with and the challenges they go through and kind of what they can do about it. Today, we're talking about anxiety and worry.
Yep.
And, anxiety and worry is something that people use, or those words, they use them interchangeably. You just kind of use them like the same thing, right? I got a lot of anxiety about that, or I got a lot of worry about that. People don't see really a difference between those two words, but there is absolutely a real difference between those words.
What's the difference, Ray?
Well, what do you?
Hold on.
Okay,
I'm worried about something.
Okay, so
I'll be right back.
this is great timing for Jean because she is baking some sourdough bread, and she set the timer, and kind of it's past the time we were supposed to start this podcast. So
burn the sourdough.
yeah. And so she's just got to get it out of the oven right now before it burns. So just kind of take a little pause here before we jump into anxiety and worry.
Oh, it looks great.
A shout out to the community over there at Riverbend. You guys are doing a fantastic job, doing some really great healing work over there. And also we wanted to let you know that our next podcast is actually going to be on location. We will be sitting down with the Under Sheriff Quinn Archibek at the Sheriff's Office in Delta, and we'll be talking about mental health specifically in Delta County. I mean, he's been a resident of Delta County for basically, I think he grew up in Delta, so his entire life, and so he really has a lot of good perspective to share.
I'm not worried anymore.
Jean, you're back.
I'm
yes. Back. Okay, so you were kind of, what you are talking about here is the difference between anxiety and worry.
Right.
Okay, so to kind of talk a little bit about the difference between anxiety and worry, we use the analogy about the truck versus the fog. All right. So, for example, if you think about a truck sitting on your driveway and the battery's dead, or something's wrong with it mechanically, it is temporary, it is a specific problem, it is going to be action oriented because there's a problem that you have to do something about, you have to fix it, okay? So when you use that analogy, think about it, your brain sees something that there's a problem and it starts to fix it and starts to figure out a way to fix that.
So it's very functional.
It's very functional.
Like not burning my bread.
Not burning your bread, right? So you had to worry about it, then you had to go fix it, and now, once it's fixed, it goes away. The worry goes away, okay? So worry has...
I have no more. It's gone.
No, you have no worry for now. You'll probably have another worry in a bit. But worry has a destination. So it's like the bill. Once the bill is paid, the worry is over. Once the truck is running, the worry goes away. So it doesn't bleed into everything else in your life, okay? And it usually goes away with a plan or an action. So, and worry also, it lives in the mind.
Yes.
So it's up here, okay? And once you get rid of that, or you fix it, you make a plan, then it goes away. Now, anxiety is different. Anxiety lives in the body. And that's where we use the analogy of the fog.
Yes.
Right? So a fog is, we think about, fog that rolls into the mountains, looking out right now at the West Elks. So if we have a fog that rolls into, into the West Elks right there, you can't point to one specific thing and say, there it is. Okay? It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? It's
Like
widespread.
we don't even have snowflakes. We just get solid white windows, and then it goes away and there's snow.
Yeah, I mean, that's off topic, but
But I'm just saying it's vague.
yes, it is. It's like this thing, and you can't pinpoint it, right? It doesn't have a clear ending, doesn't have a clear beginning. You might, like, for example, with the worry, you might pay the bill, but then your brain's looking to something else to panic about. So it feels permanent, it feels static, it feels broad, okay? And it's just a feeling.
And there's nothing you can actually do about.
Correct, right. And
What
and
you're
it's
anxious
a,
about.
It's a physical survival response. You know, so if we were to get clinical, your physical body is going to react by going into fight or flight, and you're going to have all these hormones, adrenaline and cortisol, and all of those those chemicals that come into your body to protect you, to help you survive a possible threat, but you don't know what the threat is, right?
Right.
And so that's where you're going to get like racing heart. You're going to have this constant inability to sleep. You're going to feel it in your gut. You're going to feel it in your tight shoulders. Your brain thinks a bear is chasing you, but you might be just
You just
sitting
have
there.
that doom and gloom
Yeah,
feeling.
it's doom and gloom, absolutely. And you don't know what to do about it. You don't. There isn't a problem to fix.
Right.
Right.
And a dysfunctional anxiety is when two things get paired together. So I don't know if you guys remember going to Psych 101 and hearing about Pavlov's dog, where he would feed the dog and ring a bell at the same time, and pretty soon the dog was salivating to the bell,
Yeah.
even though a bell should not make a dog salivate. And so when you get that pairing in your brain, it made sense somewhere because it was a training moment. Like maybe on September 11th, 2001, maybe you were in your car and you were listening to a song, and then something came on the radio that told you what was happening. And now that song could be that pairing, and every time you hear that song, you might feel like, ugh, some doom and gloom.
Yeah, and the problem with anxiety is because it's a physical response, you cannot think your way out of it. Because your body is responding. The hormones and chemicals and everything is running through your body. And when it gets to a really escalated place, that's where we have panic.
Yes.
Right? And panic is actually a physical, heightened response.
Yeah, sometimes I'll feel that if we're public speaking. And fortunately, when we public speak, we're usually doing this together. And I'll start talking about something and I'll lose it. My brain will just go,
just freeze. Yeah.
and then you kind of feel like a little dizzy, like the walls are closing in on you, and you're like, your heart starts racing, and you can't think. And fortunately, you usually can jump in and keep it going, and then I'm fine. But it's a really weird feeling when that happens, and it's like you can't do anything in that moment to like make yourself not feel that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's that panic, the freeze, fight, flight, freeze kind of response that we have to a threat. And so when anxiety happens, it is a physical reaction, and you can't think your way out of it. There was this one skit with Bob Newhart, right?
Yeah.
And he was playing the psychiatrist, and this woman comes in, and he's like, I charge $1 a minute.
And I do 5 minutes.
And I do 5
And I
minutes.
don't do more than 5 minutes.
Right. And she's
And
like,
I need $5 up front.
she's like, you're gonna solve it in 5 minutes? He's like, probably even less than that. And so she's like, well, I am, what'd she say?
She said she is afraid of being buried alive in a box.
Right. And he says, stop it.
He goes, I got your answer. She's like, should I write it down? He's like, no, I got it. Stop it.
Stop it. Right. And I think that's a perfect example of, trying to think your way out of anxiety. It is just not possible.
Right.
Right.
Although that is a good technique to stop it. But you have to stop it by really
Yeah.
working hard to distract yourself or go talk to someone or something to shift the energy.
Right.
It doesn't just stop.
No, no. Trying to logic your way out of it it's going to make yourself crazy.
Right.
Right. If you feel like, why do I feel this way? What's wrong with me? It's just going to make you feel worse about yourself, and it's just going to pile on top of the anxiety, and then that's when you're going to create panic.
Yeah, because our unconscious mind, our subconscious mind is where the pairing is, and our physical body and our subconscious mind is the same place. And so your unconscious mind believes you're dying. Your body responds as though you're dying. And it's that pairing that happens that's really difficult to undo, which is a lot of times when I'm working with someone that has something like this, I'll use hypnosis. Because that lets you get into that part of the brain and unpair those pairings, and then you can pair it with something that's much more functional.
Yeah, and the thing when we're talking about it being a physical response, your body is responding to it. Here's where the danger is that if you continue to have anxiety, your body, your brain starts rewiring itself to make anxiety be the status quo. So that is where we get, generalized anxiety disorders. And this is where we get clinical anxiety, where someone has to be treated, with medication, because there's been a physical change in their brain to now have that anxiety and panic response every time there is that feeling or every time there's that doom and gloom, right? And so it is a real thing, a real physical problem, an issue.
And one of the ways to kind of tell the difference, because they start out the same.
I have a chart.
Okay, can I just finish this
Yeah.
little piece? So, worry has a beginning and an end.
Yes. It has a specific
Something happens.
problem.
I gotta fix it.
Yep.
Anxiety says, I feel like something's dangerous all the time.
You just wake up.
Yeah.
Just wake up with that doom feeling, and you don't really know why or what it is, right? It's like this heavy cloud or this fog that's coming in. It feels so big and so vague. So here's my little chart. That's nice.
Yeah, let me see your chart.
So you have worry and you have anxiety. Worry the truck, anxiety the fog. Where is it? Worry is entirely in your head. It's thoughts. It's a problem that you could fix. Anxiety is in your whole body. So your heart rate, your gut, your muscles, your respiration, everything is responding.
Yeah.
Right. Worry, how specific is it? It's very specific. Like, am I going to be late to this
Is my bread
program?
gonna burn?
Is my bread going to burn? Right. And then anxiety is vague and general. Something terrible is going to happen. I just know it. I just feel it.
Yep.
Right. Is it logical? Worry? Yes, it's logical. It focuses on real world problems. Anxiety is not. It creates worst case scenarios that are not real. So that's where you spin in your head over and over. You add to it, make things worse. It's just like this catastrophizing.
I like when people that do counseling try to solve it.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have
maybe
a solution.
you should just do this.
Yeah.
Or maybe let's make a checklist. Yeah, no. So what fixes it? Worry, problem solving, taking action, making a plan. Okay, that is going to solve worry. You're worried about, the mortgage or paying the bills, and am I going to have enough money at the end of the month? Okay, well, you could sit down, you could do a spreadsheet, you could do a budget, and all of that. That is a solution for the problem. So anxiety, though, what fixes it? You have to calm the nervous system. You have to do a physical calming. Because your body is stuck on the accelerator, and it's going 100 miles a minute, and now you need to physically hit the brake.
And I think that anxiety, I really haven't seen anyone get rid of it. Right, when you're working with people with anxiety. So I always like to think about anxiety like a passenger in your car. And are they in the passenger seat up front?
I could see this person as a passenger.
Are they driving? Are they all the way in the trunk? But they're probably coming with you on your journey, right? And so how much influence is that going to have over your life? And anytime that you push yourself to do something you feel anxious about, you are going to test that if that's real. Like, I had this client, this is so fun. She was such a perfectionist.
Reach over, open the door, and kick them out.
And I asked her for 1 week to not make her bed. And she lived in a house that was, the bedrooms were up on the second floor. And she comes back after a week, and I said, well, how'd you do? She goes, I did really good, except for when the guy came to work on my furnace in the basement. She had to make her bed up on the second floor because the guy was going to come and be in the basement. It was so interesting, but every day she had to deal with that feeling like, oh, my bed's not made, what's going to happen? And of course, nothing happened. And so, like, letting yourself bump into it and holding yourself there can make those things subside.
Yeah, yeah. So, talking about driving, let's see here. Here it goes. Yeah, so when the fog rolls in, stop driving. And let your nervous system reset. So how do you do that, right? How do you let your nervous system reset? There are things that you can do. You don't have to just go jump to medication. What I was saying was that when it gets to the point that is very dysfunctional, then medication usually is prescribed.
My favorite thing to do, because I don't have a lot of anxiety, but when you have someone come in and they have a lot of anxiety, you actually induce a panic attack in them. And then you try to tell them, they're like, oh, my throat's closing up and it feels like an elephant's on my chest. And then you say to them, okay, make your throat close all the way. And then they go, oh, I can't.
Yeah.
And their anxiety goes away. And it's an amazing thing, but it's a little mean and you have to get them there first.
Yeah, I had a client that came in a full-blown panic attack, and I had him get up and do 25 jumping jacks.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So because, the heart rate and respiration is being hijacked by the anxiety, now we override it by doing something physical,
And using up that energy.
Not
a good time to meditate.
Flipping the switch.
No.
No, you cannot go into your head, if you're in the middle of panic or in the middle of anxiety. You can't, as we've talked about it, you can't think your way out of this. So it has to be a physical intervention. Do some wind sprints, burpees, jumping jacks, something that is going to override the physical response that's happening. Go for a brisk walk, drink some water, do some breathing exercises, like not just the, deep breathe and, nice breathing, but like actual huge inhale, exhalation.
Bellow breaths.
Bellow breaths, yes, that's what it's called. Yeah. So the whole point is, to, I guess, take the steering wheel away from that anxious passenger you got, that's driving you off a cliff.
And pull the parking brake really hard.
Right. So, you're the one that's going to be taking control, of the wheel, because you are taking control of the physical responses that are happening within your body. That is the only way to handle anxiety. And once you're able to lower and get out of that panic and that anxiety place, now you can start thinking about it and figuring out if there's a problem connected to it. Now it converts to worry, right? And now you can actually handle it in smaller bites.
Yes.
Yes.
Good job, Ray.
Thanks. So, I hope this was, not as clinical as ones before. And, I think this is a really big topic. Because
the average in the 1970s, the level of anxiety of a psychiatric inpatient person is the same as an 8th grader today. Yeah, that's how bad things have gotten.
I was going to say that it's very widespread. A lot of people are on anxiety medications, and they are feeling and dealing with and struggling with anxiety. And so I think it's
kind of like those. Remember those Chinese handcuffs, Japanese handcuffs? Where you put your finger in there, and the more you resist, the worse it gets.
Finger handcuffs.
Finger handcuffs.
Yeah.
The more you resist, the worse it gets. Anxiety is the same way.
Yes.
And we have this constant bombardment of information in our lives, so it's really hard to get away from it.
So, when you start to feel that feeling, ask yourself, is this worry? Is this anxiety? Right? Is this worry? Is there a problem that I'm thinking about and struggling with and challenged to try to find a solution? Or do I just feel this overall dread? Do I just feel it everywhere and it's not pinpointed to something? And that'll help you figure out what is your plan and how to handle that.
And that's when you say, stop it.
Stop it. Just don't think about it. All right. Well, that reminds me, we should probably just say that, this podcast is for educational purposes only. If you do have a more deeper issue and need to talk to someone, please reach out to a local provider, that would be able to guide you in this. So, as I mentioned, next week on Wednesday, 12:15, we will be at the Delta County Sheriff's Office interviewing Under Sheriff Quinn Archibek. We'll be talking about mental health in Delta County specifically. So please join us. And also, as a reminder, this is live. So if you ever have any questions, comments, topic suggestions, please just put it in the chat. We'll be able to see it right away in real time. And so this podcast was started to have real talk about mental health. Change cannot happen without real talk. So let's just keep talking, Delta County.